Hello everyone, I'm Ken Smith with the Bosch Home Comfort Group. We would like to welcome you to the video training series on our Bosch equipment.
And I'm Fred Crick. Today's session is going to be on the 15 Seer, the IDS unit, and the BVA air handler. 15 Seer IDS unit, and matched up with a 15 Seer BVA air handler. Let's talk about this piece of equipment for just a little bit. To me, as a trainer from Bosch that has been around this product since a long time ago, really fell in love with this particular product in that it is a 15 Seer entry-level piece of product, but yet it's got that inverter-driven machine that we've all grown and loved about. So let's talk about this unit. This is a BOVB 036. Which means that I can take this particular machine and a 36,000 BTU capacity, flip J2, and make it a 2-ton application. Now, Bosch also have a dedicated 15 Seer 2-ton only. It cannot be a 3-ton. It is a dedicated 2-ton only. But let's talk about the BOVB 36. It is basically the same type of board. It is basically the same type of configuration as far as the physical size. This particular unit has a 11-speed ECM drive condenser fan motor. This unit can be separated by refrigerant lines of 100 feet. You can lift one of them 50 if you want to, but 100 feet of line set. One of the characteristics about the refrigerant lines that you need to make sure you always remember. The liquid line has to be 3/8. There is no separation, there's no deviation, it has to be 3/8. All of my units come with the dryer. It is a biflow dryer because you remember that my condensing unit is also a heat pump. So here's the thing. I've got a 15 Seer piece of equipment, variated compressor. It uses the same technology as the 20 Seer. It uses the same technology to get that low amp draw when it first starts out. It uses the same technology to load match what's going on inside the structure. So I only still have to run 4 wires out there for a heat pump, 2 wires if it's just an air conditioner. And my BVA is a multi-position, upflow, downflow, left-hand, right-hand, horizontal. It has a PSC motor that is a 5-speed, you pick 4. And if you want to, you can upstage, downstage that particular fan motor. But it is a PSC fan motor. So, again, it is not a high static blowing device. 0.8 is its max on the static. But that air handler is not a modular. It is a single piece air handler. The condensing unit is you may be able to see the hydrophilic material on the coil. We always ask you never to put coil acid on the indoor coil or the outdoor coil. We don't want to get rid of that hydrophilic material. And what we're going to be doing and asking you to do is always to, when you're running the refrigerant lines, we're going to make sure that we dehydrate the refrigerant lines to that 350 micron vacuum. We're also going to make sure that you chase your brazing when you're putting the unit together. Chase your brazing with nitrogen because we want to make sure that the integrity of that copper, that refrigerant line, is kept clean. So let's talk a little bit about the BOVB 036. That particular machine can be a 3-ton or it can be a 2-ton. The SW6 switch allows me to make that adjustment. The BOVB 024 is only a 2-ton, matched up with a 2-ton coil, a 2-ton air handler, 2-ton load. So remember that the 036 can be a 3-ton or a 2, but the 024 product can only be a 2-ton. Let's look at the board a little bit. This board is very familiar with you. If you've seen the IDS 2.1, the 20 Seer, the 18 Seer, this particular board allows us to take the 240 volts, takes that voltage, and we're going to now do the magic, if you don't mind, and have an inverter compressor that allows us to ramp up and down the compressor hertz rating, ramp up and down the capacity going to the indoor section, and to make sure that we keep a constant coil temperature via the pressure transducer. And in that particular logic, we now have the capability of running 2 wires for an air conditioner, 4 wires for a heat pump. With all of that logic built into the board, I'm allowing myself to have an 11-speed condenser fan motor that ramps up and down. I am allowing my voltage to, when I start this machine, it is basically looking at 1.4 amps and less. And I'm also allowing this machine to be an air conditioner all the way down to the outdoor ambient temperature of 40 degrees, all the way up to 120 degrees, and it is a heat pump on this particular machine all the way down to +5, all the way up to 86 degrees.
Hello everyone, I'm Ken Smith. As mentioned earlier, we are referring to the 15 Seer equipment at this point during this video session. A few things that I'd like to point out is that this particular unit has a GMCC manufacturer compressor in it. One of the largest compressor manufacturers in the world. Lots of other manufacturers have this particular compressor. Millions and millions of compressors produced by these people. One of the things that was pointed out to me when I was first introduced to this equipment is we have the 2-ton, as mentioned earlier, the dedicated 2-ton with a really good price point for apartments or low-income housing or things such as that. The other 2 condensing units that we have available are the 3-ton and the 5-ton. And I asked myself, where's all the other tonnages? Well, when I got to digging into this and I saw that the GMCC compressor on the 3-ton had a turn down capability of 9,000 BTUs, and a ramp up, if you will, or turn up capability to 44,000 BTUs. So that gives me that wide range from 9,000 BTUs to 44,000 BTUs. Technically, I can connect a 1.5 ton air handler to my 3-ton, an 18,000 BTU air handler, and this system condensing unit will handle that without any problem, all the way up to a 36,000 BTU or anything in between. Same with the 5-ton. The 5-ton goes from 15,000 to 66,000 BTUs. That gives us the capability to connect a 5-ton to a 3-ton if that was ever necessary, 3.5 or 4, and of course the 5-ton. So understanding that ramping or that variable BTUs or variable capacity was a critical component to me learning actually how this system functions and performs. Now, we had mentioned earlier about the pressure transducer maintaining a constant target evaporator temperature. So understanding that the variable BTUs that you have there, 9,000 to 40,000 in the 3-ton, once again 15,000 to 66,000 in the 5-ton, knowing that we have that pressure transducer that's going to maintain, in this case out of the box, a 46-degree evaporator target temperature in the cooling cycle and a 108-degree evaporator coil temperature in the heating cycle, straight out of the box. Understanding the variable capacities and the load matching and understanding how the pressure transducer maintains that targeted temperature is what makes this a really special piece of equipment in my experience. So having said that, hopefully that's clear enough. We can talk about the board itself here, which is another very impressive thing when I was first introduced to this product. I tell a lot of people during my training classes and stuff, you know, all of those expensive tools and everything that you have, the gauges with the superheat and the big expensive fluke meters and all of those different things. On this piece of equipment, that's really not necessarily. You can leave all that stuff in the truck. This system, and all of our systems by the way, the 15, the 18, and the 20, with the same board, have the system parameters built within the motherboard itself. It gives us the option to push a button and view 25 different parameters built into the board. And the reason I say leave all of those expensive tools in the truck is because I can get my voltages here, my L1, my L2. I can get my compressor amp draw here. I can get my DC voltage on U, V, and W that goes to the compressor. I can get high side and low side pressures without having to hook any gauges up to it. And I can also read all of my thermistors that are throughout the system. My T1, 2, 3, T5, TF, all the different sensors that communicate back to this board to make it perform in the manner that it does.
So there's a couple changes with the IDS BOVB 15 Seer board. Before we had the J2 switch that we were able to manipulate, and we could go from a 5-ton to a 4-ton and a 3-ton to a 2-ton and that kind of thing. That J2 switch logic is still there, but it's not called J2 anymore. This is located right there, and it is actually SW6, okay, SW6. And where you have those dip switches located on this particular BOV 036 is where it's going to get its logic. Is it a 3-ton capacity or is it a 2-ton capacity? So remember, SW6 on the 15 Seer, and it's not a J2 anymore.
Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more about reliable and energy-efficient Bosch products, visit bosch-homecomfort.us.